Hello and happy Friday, everyone. Good morning and welcome to this week's episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and man, we have a great show. It's right now. It's three of us. I kind of sent the bat signal out for a couple of people, see if they're going to jump in because Dreadpool is out he's doing a con right now with clowns. And if you followed Dreadpool, you've been seeing he's putting stuff on social media. He'll be back next week as normal, but he's enjoying himself and well-deserved mini vacation, if you will. But folks, we got a lot to get into. Of course, there's been a bit of some confusion with the Xbox Game Pass family plan that is quietly going to appear to launch in the US, and we'll get into that. E3, man, wow, it doesn't look good, folks. And I think this might be the last E3 that and if it turns out to be that, I'm very fortunate because 2019 was the last official E3. I got a chance to go, or at least the in-person E3. I hope that's not the case. And of course, the fun topic of the show, which I think is it's fun, and I think there's going to be a lot of big opinions about it, is a couple of weeks ago during one of PlayStation or Jim Ryan's crying fits, he told the CMA that Call of Duty was not only the lifeblood of PlayStation, but that they used the profits for first-party development, which a lot of people were taken aback by. I would imagine that you would use profits from your first-party games to fund your first-party games, but apparently what Jim said all those years ago about PlayStation players not being enough, apparently it's true. And my question will be whether or not Microsoft is going to use profits from Call of Duty, which should be substantial considering they're going to be the owners of the brand, and get 70% of everyone that is now, has it on their platform, Steam and PlayStation and Nintendo and wherever else it's going to wind up being. Will Microsoft use those profits not only to fund first-party development, but potentially their next acquisition? We're going to get into all of that. And before we do that, let's get into introductions. Web Dave, brother, first of all, welcome. I'm looking forward to Sunday's show because you have Fuzzy Belvedere joining you.
Yes, I do.
And that's going to be a lot of fun. How you feeling, man? Welcome back.
Feeling really good. Me and Retri going to be putting on Gamers Council on Sunday, and then with Fuzzy Belvedere, our gaming guru, who you're seeing footage right now from
That's right.
Fuzzy's car. I love it. We hear all about the rally experience, and because he goes in depth into the mechanics of it, so that's pretty exciting. And we're going to be talking about that, a lot of other subjects as well too. But yeah, man, I'm excited to be here today. To talk about it, and you, me, and Fuzzy, we got this.
Indeed we do. Listen, Fuzzy, first of all, you're going to take the lead on the new DLC. We're going to talk about that as well. Folks, if you didn't know, this is Fuzzy Belvedere footage. That's why he's not crashing into everything like I would, because he's an actual professional driver, and BoomStick is not. I didn't have a chance to record any footage. It's just been a really busy week. And last night, Mrs. Boom and I were up to midnight playing what else but Baldur's Gate 2, trying to beat it on Extreme, which we are almost doing. And that's a 100-point achievement, which we can't wait to get. But Fuzzy, how you feeling, brother? And thanks for bringing the footage along with you. Looks really good. How you feeling, man?
Well, I'm doing pretty good and glad to be here with you guys. Yeah, the Forza Horizon Rally DLC, it's a lot of fun. Was kind of hoping for some more stuff from them or something a little bit different, but this will definitely fill the gap between now and Motorsport coming out. But some interesting stuff about the add-ons that are not part of the DLC, where everybody that has the base game or at least Game Pass will be able to get some of the upgrades that come along with it. But man, a lot to talk about this from this past week with all the E3 news and PlayStation, ABK, Xbox. Man, can't wait to get into it. But thanks for having me this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much. And the first super chat of the day comes the way of BarQ Andy. Drops a very generous $5 super chat. Andy, welcome to the show, brother, and thank you for the generosity. But yeah, and speaking of generosity, folks, I got to show this live on live on air, because Nerd Propellant is someone that you should probably follow if you are into uh, paraphernalia or artifacts, if you will, for gaming. He creates some very unique artistic pieces. He's done stuff for BioShock. He's done stuff for The Last of Us. He's done stuff for God of War and Assassin's Creed. I think his forte, to be honest with you, is CFDs. If you're a big CFDs fan, you should definitely check out his Etsy.com shop, which I'm going to drop the link in a bit. But I want to show off what he sent me, and we've been talking in the background for a while. And I'm all about helping others, right? That's the whole point of this show. You bring people on, you expose, you folks that are in the chat right now to new voices, new personalities, new opinions. But I got to show you what he sent me. He sent me, folks, and this is crazy. I'm obviously a huge Resident Evil fan. I have been since inception. And he sent me a Resident Evil 4 remake shadow box. I'm going to show it live for you on the air, folks. It is gorgeous. Now, I'm going to shut my light off over here for a hot second so you guys and gals can take a look. There's no reflection. Take a look at that. That is a shadow box. It lights up. It looks good in the dark, looks good and you can just, it comes with a switch. You can just shut it off. And it's pretty awesome. Obviously, he's got all the characters from Resident Evil 4 in there. This is a gift. Again, I don't expect anything from anyone. And the fact that he sent it for me to display with my collectibles, I cannot thank you enough. Yeah, and that's follow Nerd Propellant on Twitter. And like I said, I'm going to drop the link into the chat right now if you want to check out his stuff. He's done a lot of CFD stuff. He's done some Marvel things. He's actually did the one thing I didn't know he did is he did a Dr. Doom mask. Man, it looks like legit good. So I'm going to drop this into I'm going to drop the link into the chat right now, and I'd ask you over there and you check it out. And again, that is Nerd Propellant on Twitter, spelled just exactly how you hear it, Nerd Propellant on Twitter. So thank you so much for the gift, brother. Definitely appreciate that. But folks, I want to start off with before we get into Fuzzy's opinions and thoughts on the DLC, which a lot of people are really enjoying. As you can see from the screen, it looks phenomenal. I played only, I don't know, 20 minutes, 25 minutes of it, and it's really good. It's what you would expect in Forza. Before we get into that, folks, I want to talk about E3. This is hard for me. And I say that because you say, well, BoomStick, why would it be hard for you? Why E3 going away is a big deal, folks. You got to understand. I'm an old dude. I'm going to be 53 this year. And for me personally, and of course, this is where the transparency boom comes into play. I remember running to my local Optimo that was in Section 1 in Co-op City with my brother Neo Mental to go get the new issue of Game Pro or Next Generation Gaming magazine. And back then, because we are old, there wasn't any internet. There wasn't any social media. So you heard and read about E3's happenings months after, like a month after it happened, because there was, E3 was, it's nerd stuff. Gaming is now in mass media, but back then it was hard to get information, and you had to wait for the coverage to come the way of like the EGMs back in the days, if anyone remembers that. And we would race to get the magazines. We were kids, right? So we would race to get the magazines. He'd buy one, I'd buy the other. We'd both read them at home. We'd switch, and he'd read mine and I'd read his, and we like, oh my God, I can't believe this is coming to the NES. Ninja Turtles, right? And we were blown away. Now, I've told this story before, but if you're familiar with the New York area, there used to be a comic shop called Dragon's Den in Yonkers in Central Avenue. And the owner at the time, his name was Gary, very shrewd businessman, very shrewd. Because he sold video games, used to get into E3. Because obviously he would. Back in the days, they used to just. It was a conference to make you buy games from the company. So he got in, and he made the shittiest of shitty videotapes. On the old big camcorders that were like the size of bazookas on your shoulder. And he would sell them for $25. I think it might have even been more. I might be underselling Gary, because like I said, he was a shrewd MF. And it might have been 25, it might have been $30. And I'll never forget the one tape. We bought a lot of them from him, but the one tape that we watched so much that we wind up wearing it out is when Konami showed off Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1. It was just magic. I wish I still had that videotape. They showed, and again, this was just a tech demo, so it was never in the game, but they showed Meryl and Solid Snake back-to-back shooting, and the bullets were falling. And, that's new for us, because, we're coming from 2D flat art to what the PlayStation brought to the world was like 3D. Now, obviously, PlayStation's not the OG about that. We know that the 3D came the way of like Mario when it went on the N64, but it was still amazing. So why I'm a bit emotional about it and why I'm incredibly saddened is because I got an email from E3. Now, I had applied for press credentials, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm like, I was recognized by the ESA with under 5,000 subs back in 2019. And here we are, 4 million plus views, 12,000 subscribers, 11,000 followers on social media. I'm like, they have to recognize me, right? And I haven't heard anything. And I was like, man, I don't think I'm going to get in here. And for me personally, this has been a journey that I'm going to remember forever. I take nothing for granted where Double Barrel Gaming has gotten because of you, simply because, again, me putting it out there, I'm a retired New York City police officer. I'm very much older than many people in the chat right now. It's a dangerous razor's edge to walk, because sometimes cops don't do good things. And unfortunately, the good guys get trampled over because there are assholes in the world that make it terrible for even the good guys. So I didn't know where this channel was going to go. This started out as a hobby. Now it's an actual business, which is crazy. And for me, the validation came in disappointment, but also for me, it's a triumph, because I have my email in front of me, and I'm going to read it to you, because even though I'm sad that E3 is not happening this year and may not happen ever again, I'm going to save this email, because Double Barrel Gaming, specifically Mr. BoomStick XL, has been recognized by ReedPop and the ESA. And this is what they said. Hey, Mr. BoomStick XL, thank you for applying to attend E3 2023. We're writing to let you know that E3 2023 will not be taking place as scheduled. ESA and ReedPop recognize you may have made plans around the event. Thank you for your support and apologize for any inconvenience. Please keep an eye on e3expo.com for any further updates to E3. Best regards, E3 registration team. And for me, guys, what that does is validate what I have been doing in this community for now 5+ years. And I, of course, am saddened, but for me, it's like a triumph, because the channel that my wife and I have worked so hard to bring to you each and every day has been recognized by one of the biggest, conventions in gaming, and it's for me, like I said, it's both sad and and a bit of validation. Web Dave, let's get your hot take on this. This is a bit surreal. When you consider uh, the scope and scale of what E3 used to be, uh,
Mhm.
and now, and I mean no disrespect, we're left to see what Jeff Keighley brings to the table. And his last couple of events have not been good. His game awards are great, and I'm always going to give him props for doing it. Specifically, one of my favorites was when the pandemic hit. Somehow or another, him and his team put on one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Yep.
Um, but his E3 shows have not been good. They've been chaotic. They've been messy. They've had no real oomph to them. So now we're stuck with what he is going to bring, and I hope he brings his A game. I hope he says, "Hey, listen, I have an opportunity to take on this behemoth event, and you're going to enjoy it, hopefully." But what are your thoughts on E3 potentially going away, man?
Well, um, as a person who's actually been to two E3s, um, when I was a manager at GameStop, pretty lucky to do that. I feel, and those experiences were absolutely amazing. The first one I went to was when they didn't have the fan portion. It was strictly still in, you had to be in the business or in the press to go to it. And wow, it was. I've been seen ACDC a couple of times, and being on the show floor was louder than an ACDC concert because everybody was competing f- for for your eyes on their product. And oh my god, it was just so incredibly loud, but it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. I wasn't going to be able to go this year due to I'll be honest, my mother's health issues. But was planning on going next year to hang out with all you guys, and that is of course the biggest disappointment. Not only missing out on all the great product and games and all the new innovations and things like that you get to see firsthand or behind the scenes or stuff that's in development, which is absolutely amazing, but that we weren't going to get to hang out with all the uh, you know all the cool guys that are and gals that are content creators that are in the space now that we all know and love, and so many amazing people. And to be honest, there's definitely Sony and Nintendo has good representatives, but Microsoft's representatives wear their heart on a sleeve, and they interact with the community. So you knew they'd be out there where you could actually talk to them and meet them. And Phil's you've met Phil in person, so Phil is a super approachable guy. He's a gamer just like we are. So those are the kind of things is like, man, I would love to have been able to do that. And hopefully there'll be something in the future that that comes and fills that void a little bit. Crispy Bomb, I see you in the chat over there. You need to jump on here with us and join us. We'd love to have your opinion. Just saying, but but yeah, it is man, it is a loss. Even though we haven't had it for the last couple of years, but it's man, it was so much fun at E3. It really was. I mean, there was so much to do and on the floor. The first time I went, I don't think I've told this story before. Um, they had Steel Battalion from Capcom
From Capcom, dude, that's great.
before it was released or announced. So it was like we got to sit and we got to play these big, huge 40 button. I ended up buying one later myself, but this was like, and then after the show was when they started showing up in the magazines and stuff, because it was announced at the show that year, and it was like, wow, playing it in person, it was just incredible. So that was my first E3, and then ended up going back the very next year, which was really cool too. But like I said, it is sad that it's not going to be around, and I have a feeling that it's probably the nail in the coffin, for the whole situation. Even though it's a big name brand, and there may be somebody that tries to work it out and bring it back. Obviously, it became too the cost effectiveness was not there, to be live compared to a lot of the digital content. Hopefully, Aaron says that seems to kind of like stay tuned. They may be announcing some things, so maybe they're kind of scrambling in the background to see if they can, because they're already planning a big huge event because they've got two big
Yeah.
presentations on
Yeah.
that Sunday, so they may end up having it to where it's it maybe not necessarily for fans, but if it's something that we're like the press, the media, that kind of thing can all get together, which would still be great because you'd be a part of that. Would be able to get together and have at least a 1 day show, if not two. Sit down, see some new product, get your hands on some stuff, and then and then go through these amazing presentations. That I think, and maybe we'll hear about that in the next couple of weeks. So there's still time, and they're Microsoft has the capability and the money and also the resources because they do events, packs and all kinds of stuff all throughout the year. So
Yep.
they have the the stuff to set up, the booths and their those kind of things. I don't know if you've ever seen. I have a video. I'll have to dig it up for you sometime, but showing this was several years ago, but it was like a Sony setting up their booth, and it took them like 2 days to set it up. And it's somebody set it in the corner of a was it time lapse?
Oh, the time lapse camera. Yeah, dude. Yes.
Putting the booth
yes,
against like, oh my god, because it was a multi-floored booth. Some of theirs, so that's the kind of thing is like they put so much money into that, and it was a ton of money into it. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the future, and who knows, maybe one of these other events, like I said, Keeley's event is going to be good to watch, but it's usually not. Even if there's an audience, it's kind of a come in, sit down, watch a show, and you leave, kind of thing. If he can turn this into something more, but that's up to him. It's going to be a lot more work and
listen, he look, like I said, I really appreciate. I don't always agree with Jeff.
Right.
I've said it before, and I will say it again. Some of the things he does just are just head scratching, man. It's just when you are a diplomat like he is for gaming, you have a responsibility to be even keeled, even if you have a favorite brand. Like, listen, how many times have you come on one of my Xbox shows and I'm talking about Xbox, but of course I will then tip the hat to Sony because they do make amazing products. They do. If you don't like them, I hear you, but I'm not gonna not talk about their products because I like them, right? Sometimes he doesn't do that, and he's Sony guy. That's awesome. Be a Sony guy, but when you're in the public eye, you got to be better, man. You just got to be better, and sometimes he's not. What I'm hoping from Jeff is that he does, in fact, seize this opportunity to make the Summer Game Fest an amazing, unforgettable show. This is an opportunity that is, and again, we don't know if the E3 is dead. We just know it's not happening this year. All signs point to that's it. The party's over, but we just don't know. We will find out soon enough. But I do want to bring in Fuzzy in on the conversation. Fuzzy, you were planning to go to E3. We were planning to meet, and I think one of the, if you've never been to an E3, folks, the most exciting and fun aspect of it is not the event itself. It's really not. It's great. I in 2019, thanks to Gotham Guy, who's always in the chat. I was his +1 for the conference and FanFest. I mean, it was like a dream come true. And it wasn't. The event was great. Being there is surreal beyond words. but it's meeting people, other podcasters that you've worked with that you've never actually, had a burger with,
Mhm.
or Dr. Pepper. And for me, and again, this is another personal story. I was walking with King David. This is before, I think this might have been before I stole his car. I don't remember. Might have been before I stole his whip. And I was talking with him, and I don't think I was even wearing any double barrel gaming stuff. I think I was wearing just like a Sonic shirt or something. And a dude heard my voice, and he said, "Hey, listen, I are you Mr. BoomStick XL?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I knew it. I heard your voice. Can I get a picture with you? Like, are you like with that?" I'm embarrassed when that kind of happens, because I'm nobody, folks. I understand. Yes, I'm a good guy, and I love giving to the community. My wife and I do things because we like doing that, but we don't do it for clout. We don't do it for, can I get an autograph or can I get a picture? I was so humbled and embarrassed I couldn't even begin to tell you. And it's those kind of moments that actually have to happen for you to appreciate what you do. Fuzzy,
Mhm.
again, we don't know E3 is dead.
Yeah.
The ESA and Repop said it's canceled this year. Now,
Yeah.
the assumption is that this is not good. What are your thoughts on this, man? I mean, like where do we go from here, man?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because as someone that's been in the automotive industry, I used to go to, I guess, the equivalent of E3 quite a
The
few
New York Car
years.
Show?
Yeah, the SEMA show out in
Yeah.
Vegas. And just to give you a brief, drawdown, me being a big car fanatic or car enthusiast, much like I'm a gaming enthusiast, you're like a kid in a candy store. Yes, I was there for work. I am working for a company that buys from a lot of the manufacturers that are there, similar to like those that would work for like any of the stores or distributors that would go to E3 to, test out the games or put in orders and so forth. But when you go there and the displays that all of these companies would have, it's like awe inspiring. And you wind up taking thousands of pictures, and your feet are tired, but you keep walking because there's all of these things that you want to see or get your hands on or try out and things like that. So I was looking forward to this E3 because it was going to be my first. I went to FanFest last year with Xbox, and I was, really looking forward to doing an actual E3 because it's like, hey, I'm retired from the auto industry, into gaming now. Yeah, let me go out there, meet some people, see what's coming out as far as games, check out some of the indie games because there's a lot of stuff that you'll see on like show floors that don't necessarily make it into the online gaming journals and things like that. So I was looking forward to all of it, and right now it's like you kind of see the writing on the wall once Ubisoft was like, hey, we're not going to E3. And it's like, really, Ubisoft? Like, you guys haven't really released a game. I don't even know why you're even doing anything during E3. But, all jokes aside, it's just sad to see something that all of us, in gaming or this as our hobby would always look forward to, like that week where it's like, oh, what's coming out, what to look forward to a year or two down the road type of thing. Hey, what new hardware might be possibly coming out and things like that. And it's like, hopefully, hopefully they can figure something out. Like I know at SEMA they've had to finagle a few things because the big auto manufacturers, much like your Xbox, your PlayStation, your Nintendo, Ford, GM, and all of them, they don't really like paying millions of dollars for floor space just for a couple of days to have people look at their stuff, sometimes break stuff, and then they got to pack it all up and ship it back type of thing. But in the grand scheme of things, what SEMA learned that I would hope the people that run E3 eventually learn is that you put them into some sort of committee where there's networking involved, which I'm pretty sure they already do, but there were other discount and regulatory things because SEMA being that body of not really regulators, but those that are kind of overseeing the automotive aftermarket industry. What E3 should kind of do is work with regulators in some of these nations like the CMA or the FTC and stuff like that on things like, maybe the ESRB with the rating system, or the whole forcing of this NFTs and stuff like that. Try to actively work with these committees where you're maybe not charging them millions of dollars for floor space, but look to work with them in the grand scheme of things to make it better for business in general. But I would love to see what that would look like as far as if they could figure things out. But as far as Jeff, yeah, he couldn't wait just a day to make the announcement about the Summer Games Fest. So he was like anxiously, typing on his or texting on his phone. Oh, E3's canceled. Hey, Game Fest is that week. Hey, looking forward to it.
Seizing the opportunity, if you will. Yeah,
exactly. But hopefully, like, the one thing that I always enjoyed over E3 over like Summer Games Fest is how it was set up as far as like the live streams and things like that. Keeley, I understand he has to mix ads in there and stuff, and hopefully he'll come up with a formula that makes it a little bit smoother, transition throughout that week and stuff like that. But yeah, power to him, more power to him as far as picking up that torch and running with it. But I really hope that there is a return to E3 at some point, even if it means maybe the big three come to an agreement, or maybe one of them stands up, like dare I say Xbox, because like with Ubisoft
I was going to
canceling,
suggest that as probably if there were to be anyone, Fuzzy, to step up, quote unquote step up and take the lead in trying to bring everyone together, it would probably be Xbox.
Yeah. I mean, they already have Bethesda and all their studios. They're in the process of acquiring Activision. So just them by themselves, they are show worthy for at least three major funnels or three major channels of content. And with Ubisoft not going to E3, maybe because I kind of figured, well, if they're not going to be at E3, but they're still doing an in-person thing, maybe they would team up with Xbox and make that announcement about, Ubisoft Plus coming to Game Pass and whatever other games that they actually plan to release this year or within the next year or so. But hopefully Xbox can step up, or maybe Nintendo and Xbox work together, because it seems like PlayStation wants to take their ball and go home type of thing. But outside of that,
they're still sulking in the corner after the Call of Duty fiasco. Sorry, we're going to get into that, but yeah.
Yeah, but let's fingers crossed as gaming enthusiasts that somehow E3 does make a return at some point in a format that everybody enjoys, and hopefully hopefully it gets the big three combined, working together to at least even if it's just stage competition as far as what they show, at least bring it back to that, as opposed to blocking deals and whatnot. But those are just my 2 cents on it.
I love it. I love it. Listen, again, a great way to open up the show. Unfortunately, yeah, E3 is done, at least for this year. Kea Santa and I are on a bit of a holding pattern. We still want to go to LA. We're waiting on to see what Microsoft does. If Microsoft is in fact going to have a show, and we can somehow get in there, I definitely will go, and I'll cover it live from the floor. But yeah, it's disappointing that something as legendary as E3 has been doused, if you will. And like I said, the last time we actually had a quote unquote official E3 in person was 2019. I happened to be there for that. I hope it's not the last, folks. I hope that what Dave and Fuzzy talked about, there is some relevance, that someone in the industry steps up. And I got to be honest with you. Like I said, if it's not because I'm an Xbox or an Xbox fan. I think that if there is one consistent diplomat in gaming out of everybody, I think we can all agree, the near 400 people we have here, we can all agree that it's Microsoft. And Microsoft has always been a big partner with the ESA. So who knows, folks? Maybe something does in fact happen.
Hey, Boom.
But let's. Yes, sir.
Before you jump ahead, sorry. Casante messaged me and he said send him a invite and he'll be happy to jump on.
Oh, excellent. Let's get Mr. K. Asante in here. Let's get his hot take on this. Let's see. Let me do that
Just
live
wanted to let
here.
you know that because
I appreciate that because obviously I'm doing a thousand things,
yes, you are.
trying to answer everyone in here, and I missed it. I don't. My phone is here. It didn't ring. All right, K. Asante, check your personal DM, brother. I sent you the link, and before we move on, we will get your hot take on the saddened news of E3's demise. But while we wait for K. Asante to join us, we will run Fuzzy's footage again, and I will catch up on the super chats. Been quite a few of them, and of course, I cannot thank you enough, folks. If you notice, if you go to the YouTube channel, you're going to notice that there are new thumbnail designs. There is a new banner. There's a new logo. There's we'll talk about it at the end of the show. Mrs. Boomstick and I launched our merch store 3 weekends ago. Crazy success, folks. We've sold over 30 items, which is, again, shocking because this is still a small channel. A big shout out to everyone who's helped us make this dream come true. Got a couple of super chats to get into. Dreadful Sean has been a channel member for 2 months. Thanks so much for that, Sean. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I'm thinking E3 is going to turn into something like PAX. Reed Pop puts on that as well. Yes, Mr. Asante. What's going on, brother? Good morning. How you feeling?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys doing? I was actually just sipping on my tea this morning, actually coffee, and I heard you guys talking about E3, and a tear dropped down my eye. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna get to you. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it in a second because you and I have been talking about it, folks. If you didn't know, I was actually going to E3 with K. Asante, and it was gonna be amazing. And we're kind of on a holding pattern because we don't know what Microsoft is gonna do. If Microsoft does have an event and somehow I'm able to get into it, it would be dope that me and K. Asante might be able to go to that. Again, we don't know. They haven't really said anything. The diplomat known as Aaron Greenberg is out there saying, actually, thanks to Dave, he told me that Risk It for the Biscuit can't get a refund on his tickets, which is awful. So he's going to be there, and he said, hey, is there anything for me to do while I'm in L.A.? And Aaron Greenberg is going to go to lunch with him, and show him around Xbox, which is freaking so dope. I got to be, and I've met Aaron Greenberg in person at that E3 that I went to. He is just a good dude. Like, honestly, he's as good as you would imagine him to be. Like, his persona online, that fun bubbliness, that really is him. He's pretty damn cool. Brett Bingham, that's a very generous $2 super chat and says, I know he's been a channel member for 2 months. He drops a $5 super chat. So Brett, thank you for that. He says, I wonder if Ed Boon was going to announce the project he is working on at the Summer Game Fest. He posted a tweet that says, tick, tick. I saw that. If there is one consistent, really good teaser in the industry, it's Ed Boon. He grabs my heartstrings on a regular basis, and I hate him for it, but I also love him at the same time because every time he tweets, there's something with Killer Instinct, and I'm like, oh my God, Ed, you're killing me. You're killing me. Let's see. Gerald Mack, who's been a channel member for over a year. Gerald, brother, thank you and welcome as always. He drops a $2 super chat and says, shout out to Double Barrel Gaming. Well, shout out to you, brother, and thank you for the outstanding support. Love that you're here. Definitely appreciate what you do each and every day. Jonas the Dad. Hey, Jonas, how the hell are you, brother? He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, bet Phil would cut a good deal with Jimmy to put Spider-Man 3 into Game Pass. Sony's going to need funds. U.S. government getting private PS Corpo info. Yeah, next, I'm working on a story. I'm trying to put all the pieces together right now. I saw Destin Legary do a story, and I'm a big fan of Destin. Like I said, I love Destin outside of IGN because I don't like IGN at all. I'm not even gonna play. I just don't like the way they do their business. But I like Destin. I like Destin a lot. Speaking of Destin, you know what? I don't have to sell his brand, folks. He doesn't even know who the hell I am. But I have to sell Hogue Law's brand because I love Hogue, and Hogue has been through it, and that dude deserves everything coming to him. Destin is actually going to sit down with Hoglaw today for a one-on-one, which is huge. So if you didn't know, get over there and subscribe to these two behemoths because they're both over 100K. They deserve it.
I'd say wait to watch the Destin one because it's happening at the same time as right now. So wait until we're done with our.
Well, there you go. There you go. And you know something? I listen. What can I do? If you want to stay and listen to us talk, you can talk. Listen, Destin Legary is interviewing Hoglaw. Go check it out. But I would say wait. I would actually say wait. Okay, so there's that. Let's see. So Gerald Mack drops. Wow, he gifted 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. That is incredibly kind of you. And this is who's won. Let's see. Stuff Sean, you got one thanks to Gerald Mack. Evan Huff has got one as well. Let's see, Nola Origins was gifted a membership. Let's see, Treybone 408 was gifted a membership as well. Let me see who else here. And James in the chat was gifted a membership thanks to Gerald Mack. Gerald, thank you so much for that, brother, and congratulations to all of the winners.
Did you get the other?
Yes, it says here.
The chat.
Yeah, the one about Aaron Greenberg.
Oh, well, that one I just dropped in. Yeah, that was the actual reply from Aaron Greenberg.
Yeah, Aaron Greenberg responded to Risk at the Biscuits. I'm happy to buy you lunch and take you for a tour of our offices.
Yeah,
that's Aaron Greenberg for you, brother. That's a good dude. But Asante, come on, man, let's get your hot take on E3. Gone.
Yeah, man. And people keep saying it's canceled for the year. Let's be real. It's a wrap, as they say, unfortunately. It seems to be done. You know, the last time they did it, there was a 2022 one. It's coming, and then it was canceled. You know, I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of sad. I was as I said, I was here. A few meetings got canceled. I'm sitting here sipping my coffee in the morning. Let me channel Infinite Umbra. The best part of waking up is pony tears in my cup. You know, I'm just sitting here hanging out.
I love it.
Go, Asante.
And then I hear that you guys are talking about the whole E3ness, and I'm just like, oh man, you know, it's just so sad. It's just so sad. We were ready to go. We had tickets. We were planning. We're hotels, the whole deal, you know. And then it is what it is. But no, I love the. It was a time that has passed us clearly, right? It seems like that we're just like not there. We're not going to be there anymore. Even though folks keep trying to bring it back, it's just not working. You know, and of course the ESA sees that people want it so bad, and they're like, oh well, we're bringing it back, and then one thing leads to another, and it's kind of like trying to put the tube of toothpaste back in. It's just not going to go. It's just not going to work, right? So, I hope, and I saw Red Tree post about it yesterday. I really, really hope that something can come out of something new that can have the same kind of feeling we used to get from E3 can come out of it. But unfortunately, I don't foresee that happening anytime soon, especially now that the various platform holders and all the third parties can kind of do their own thing and we'll still pay attention. You know, it makes it very difficult to think of an idea where folks will come, agree to spend their money, agree to, you know, hone their message, all to be one of however many to deliver their message. It wasn't something that you can think of that should have worked for as long as it did, because as soon as any of these developers and any of these publishers realized they could do it themselves and corner the market on their own message, they would never want to do this anymore, you know? So for us as gamers, it is super sad. I am sad about it. I really am. The whole thing has gotten me a bit distraught, but I understand it. You know, what are you going to do? I understand it. It's just something that it's a time of long ago that will never come back, you know? And yes, I know Keely's out there, you know, doing the dance on the grave. You know, he's doing the dance. I get it. It's what he does, you know.
Stop it!
It's
Stop
true.
It. So wait a second.
You know that meme where the dead body's there and he's like,
you know what meme? You know what meme comes to mind? If you remember the kid that played the Flash. And
that's the one.
He's doing
that's
the peace sign in front of the grave.
Yes,
I could see someone superimposing Jeff's face on that kid where that's supposed to be where the Green Arrow is dead, and he's doing the piece.
And he's doing
Chris Baum is in the chat and he's saying it's messy.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Messy.
See, what he could have done, and I don't know, maybe it's too early, maybe it all kind of fell the way it did. He could have done, knowing that this was happening, he could have incorporated more of the fan fest idea, more of the fan show idea into his show. That would have crystallized and solidified him as the show of the summer. But clearly, you know, that's not what he's about. Like and I mean, not to give him short shrift. Maybe its timing didn't work out or whatever. Hopefully next year, hopefully he can be his show can be the show that people can go to and do all these things with. You know, we've had issues with the stuff he's doing. You know, with some of the stuff he does and his priorities, I'll say, right. But you can have those priorities and still make it fun for gamers and content creators and all of that. You can do both, right? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that it was just a matter of the timing didn't work right, so he wasn't able to incorporate that. But if he would do that, you know, and would show enough of a willingness to work with the community and all that, and not be so solar focused on what we all see he's solar focused on, it could potentially be, you know, a saving grace. But as of now, I don't have too much hope, you know. But hey, just like we got tired of the Keeleys, you know, throwing words out that we may not necessarily stand behind, and then the Dutchies is walking in to change things. Yes. Maybe this opens the door for some other venue where we can do it and jump in and have the community get together, and, you know, maybe we don't need E3 anymore. Maybe there will come a time where we can do that for ourselves. Maybe. That is for us to look into and potentially work on. You know,
I really hope that they add that Microsoft actually does the Fan Fest as a regular event somewhere in the country, or maybe
I hope so too.
One or two throughout the year, because it's pretty much an open opportunity for them to really get their product across to a lot of the the industry that needs to and media that can hopefully start winning them back over a little bit. And,
I'll tell you this. First of all, from what I understand, no press, or it's not press that goes to FanFest. It is fans.
Right.
And I like I said, I've been to one, folks. And it's surreal how much instant access you have to someone like Phil Spencer, or when Bonnie Ross was head of 343, I met her. I met Aaron Greenberg, which is crazy. I got a chance to have a conversation with Rod Ferguson. Like, are you kidding me? Like, and Rod's a great dude. This is before Gears 5 had come out, and I had poked him at, are we getting the open world Gears? Well, he was kind of on the fence about what they were doing, and it was really good. Shout out to Jago6 in the chat, who's been always in the chat. He said he's been to E3 and it was dope, which is pretty cool. Also, Manchurian Devil in the chat, brother, welcome to the program. He says Hogue Law did amazing in the latest Destin video. And I don't doubt it. Hogue is just good. I haven't asked him. Hogue's been on the show probably half a dozen times, maybe more than that. And I've been afraid to ask because he's still recovering. I'm going to try, folks. I'm going to give it the old college effort to see if him and I, if he doesn't want to go live, we can even do it taped. A one-on-one for about 30 minutes, because I don't want to push it. Like, folks, he's recovering from a stroke, and his health comes first before anything. But I'm going to see if I can get him to do a one-on-one with me to kind of overview what to be expected with ABK in the coming weeks. I'm going to reach out to him today and see if I can get him for at least 30 minutes. And if I do, trust me, I'll make a ginormous announcement about it. But listen, folks, I hope that you're enjoying the conversation, because it's been one heck of the first hour. But I kind of want to hand the reins over to Fuzzy. He is our Forza expert, if you will. Well, thanks to him, you have footage that you can watch. Which he just did something real slick. He did a 360 crossing the finish line.
Tell him out about
Look
that.
Look at you putting it out there.
Doing it right when you cross the finish line. He does a spin out.
I've never thought to do that. So now I have to try it. So Fuzzy, I want to get your opinion on the new DLC. It's gotten a lot of big buzz.
Yeah.
The community's talking about it. The people are the gamers who enjoy Forza are enjoying it. If you bought the game and you bought the season pass, you don't have to buy it. You just have to press download. If you want to buy it, it's $17.99, because you get the Game Pass discount. Is the new DLC, from what you've played, worth the price of admission?
For me, yes. Now, keep in mind, I'm a car enthusiast, racing enthusiast. I love rally racing. But for some that may not be, looking forward to like racing off road or in dirt or in sand and things like that, I could see if they're a little hesitant. But overall, it's a lot of fun as far as for the off-road and rally genre. And you have basically two approaches. You have the approach where it's like a real rally race, where it's based on times during certain checkpoints, where you're the only car in front and back as far as you can see, and you have to basically make it from checkpoint to or stopwatch to stopwatch within a shorter amount of time, or shorter amount of time than the computer AI that you don't necessarily see in front of you, because your main focus is going to be your co-pilot, which is in the helicopter, telling you about the turns, the bumps, the water, the difference in terrain, if there's a bridge, sharp turns, hairpins, and so forth. So with you having all that focus on what's coming up ahead and what your co-driver or co-pilot's telling you, it's a little bit trickier if you were having to race alongside other vehicles. So it's a nice change of pace in comparison to previous Forzas. If you're a fan of like the original Dirt, like the new Dirt racing is I would say more arcadey than it's been in earlier forms. But if you're more of a fan of the original, like Dirt 1 through, I guess, 3 or 1 through 4, I think it was 5 was the one that went more like Forza Horizon. Now Forza Horizon is going more like Dirt with this rally expansion. If you like that style of racing, this is definitely worth the pickup. Okay. There's like 10 new cars. There's also things that are added to Forza, the base game, without it being required to have the DLC. So now the racing turbos that have always been in the game as like upgrades or options now have like an anti-lag upgrade. Now, I think the upgrade is like 13,000, but it's luckily it's a lot easier to come across credits in game for like Forza,
you could race one race and get
you could one race, or you could basically do some special events and things like that and earn enough cash to get the upgrades and stuff like that. But yeah, the cool thing is it allows you to almost do like a launch control without having to have traction control on. So it gives you the best starting RPM to get the most traction, and basically in the shortest amount of time. And a few people have done tests where even if you're not on dirt and you're doing drag racing and you do that turbo upgrade, you're going to shave off, I would say, like a tenth of a second or so just in that change of upgrade as far as doing that launch control, compared to even the most, I guess, technical of drivers as far as with throttle control and things like that. Having that launch control, definitely, just like in real life now, computers are on par with professional drivers with like some of the automatics now are faster than what a professional driver can shift. Now for straight line track stuff, a little bit different story, but back to like the DLC itself, the cars, the upgrades, the bigger tires, the different compounds as far as like rally. Well, they've had the rally tires in there before, but now you're actually getting to use them in a good mix between dirt, sand, and pavement and some of these races. It's a nice upgrade. Now, me as a Forza fan or just a racing fan in general, was I hoping for something more or maybe something different? Yeah, initially when they mentioned the DLC, I was kind of like, it's a little underwhelming. We can kind of do off-roading now in the base game, but the map that they've come up with the switchbacks as far as the roads and everything and the different elevations and the bumps and jumps and things like that you'll encounter, which you encounter in real rally racing, just don't exist really on the base Forza map. Like most of the roads are smooth, so you can have your hypercar blazing down the roads at 150 miles an hour or faster type of deal. These roads, you try doing that, you're going to wind up airborne on what looks like it's a normal road, and it has like a little whoop or a bump or something like that, and it'll throw you off to the side of the road, kind of deal, if you try to travel that fast. So it's a lot more technical. It's a lot more attention that you have to pay as far as to the cornering, the slow down speed. You don't have to be good at drifting, but you will want to drift as far as through some of the hairpin turns to kind of keep the momentum up. And throttle response is going to be a big thing as far as getting back on the gas once you got the car turned around for that hairpin. But it's so awesome having that type of upgrade. But the things that I was hoping that they were going to do, there was an early rumor of like drag racing where they were going to go into more detail, kind of where you would have like the wider tires, tubbed bodies, things like that, and wheelie bars and whatnot. And I'd like to see that, although I'm pretty sure you can't really make that much more of an expansion just based on drag racing. That would be more of like a quick add-on type of thing that's like a like a quality of life add-on, much like the anti-lag turbos. But the overall DLC, the one thing I wish that they would have done just slightly different or added into this mix with the rally racing is add snow, because they do still rally race in some areas where there's snow. And even though there's the seasonal stuff in Mexico, they don't really have the snow except for when you're on the mountain, and even then it's not quite like Horizon 4. I hope that they do something where there's a lot more snow coverage at some point, or maybe they add it in the mix, although being where they're at in Mexico, I don't think it's really conducive as far as for like winter months or snow on the road and stuff. But that's about the only real thing that I would say is kind of missing. But I'm hoping, like, I haven't gone through the winter season just yet in the new DLC, so we'll see if they have it where some of the water freezes over or something like that to add a little bit more treachery on some of the river crossings or stuff like that. But overall, good DLC, worth the price of admission, especially if you've already done the upgrade pack. I think if you haven't done the upgrade pack but you're a subscriber to Game Pass, it's like $17.99.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it, but it's for me, being into racing, I would say definitely go ahead and pick it up. If you're more of like for arcade racing, but not really a Sega Rally fan, like if you're a fan of like Sega Rally back in the day, for nostalgia purposes, I would say this is worth the pickup. It's not going to be a 1-for-1 or anything like that, but it's a nice, more realistic looking and I guess playable style of like a rally race if you're a fan of that, the original Sega Rally from back in the day. But if you're more of the fan of like the Hot Wheels DLC or even Legos DLC, it's less like that. This is more of a like a realistic environment type of thing. So it all depends on personal taste. But one thing I do hope that Forza does work on towards the near future is when they do their next map, they have a not necessarily a bigger map, but a more diverse kind of biome setup where
I gotcha.
one city or small town, like in the base game, there's like two little city areas, but they're kind of small. In this new map, there's like one city and it's like about maybe four blocks long, or like a one by one type of setup. So the city area is a little small on the small side in comparison for those that
Okay.
towns and things. There's no highways on this DLC, but the highway on like the base map is plenty. But I would like to see a longer straight stretch, just so you could do like simulated street racing. Although I know that might be an ESRB thing where they might get into a little bit of trouble for trying to keep it family friendly and whatnot. But overall, I'm pleased with it. You can see through some of the footage. Yeah, it does take some getting used to because the traction is going to handle a little bit different than what you might be used to. So you'll
Right.
wall bounce or lean a little heavily, like use my chrome bumper or chrome horn on the front of the vehicle, kind of push people or nudge people a little bit out of the line. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. But for those that aren't really into off-roading, I could see them, being a little hesitant. But yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, I just wanted to get your hot take, and obviously there's no one better to ask than Fuzzy Belvedere, who is the master of racing. I do want to just kind of move this along, though, folks, to a bit of confusion. Last night, Idle Sloth retweeted someone, and I have the in front of me right now. It was originally tweeted that the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate Family Plan price has changed. And I just want, again, just for complete clarity, that is not in fact the case. The poster, the original poster, was Jaw Muncher. This was 14 hours ago, and obviously it took the interwebs by storm. And Jaw Muncher had pointed out, they say, I'm guessing Xbox Game Pass Friends and Family just quietly launched in the US, and they have a price of 1 month for the Friends and Family plan at $39.95. Now, of course, you would imagine that the anti-Xbox community came out and was shunning and pointing fingers and calling people liars and names. Folks, it turns out that Jaw Muncher had went to New Zealand and on their trip back. So, they went to New Zealand to play Resident Evil 4 Remake. And on their way back on the plane, they forgot to switch it back to the Americas. And of course, everybody who's anybody went out and started, with the calculations. And for New Zealand, the price of $39.99 is equivalent to $25 US. So again, we're not really going to have a giant conversation about it because there's really nothing to say. The only thing that I really wish that we get some clarity from Microsoft. It's launched in a few other regions, right? We know that it's here, there, and everywhere, but it's not here in the US.
Let's go.
And I'm right there with you, Dave. Like I have two people that I want to add to it. One of which is my nephew, and one is a good friend of mine, of me and Josie's, for years. Mm-hmm. Put them on the plan so they don't have to worry about ever paying for Game Pass because I'm gonna just add it to my 3 years, and when it calculates and it lessens, I'll go to cdkeys.com and get a couple of 3 months cards for $30 a piece and keep re-upping that way. Listen, it's just, I just wish Microsoft would be, I mean, I know that the ABK thing is like the most important thing, and they have been doing a pretty good job with their PR, but this is one of those plans that I think, Dave, you yourself come out and said, hey, listen, I'm currently paying for X plans times 2, and it's this much money, and I kind of really need it because, all of my family games, and it would really benefit me financially if I could get on board and get this for $25 a month. Let's go Xbox. When Dave, do we hear about this? I don't want them to sneak it past us. I think this should be, folks. And we got 500 people here, which thank you for tuning in. This is especially right now in the world, any way that you can still enjoy your entertainment without having to cut it because bills are expensive, it would benefit Xbox players and potentially new Xbox players. When do we get this announcement, Dave?
Well, I'm hoping that it's incredibly soon. There's supposed to be, we've had rumors that there's supposed to be some announcements this week, we really haven't had any big announcements this week. Now, in the poster's defense, he was excited. He saw that
No,
it
they
came
did
up as
nothing wrong. They
yeah,
just they put it out there. They
oops,
thought they
yeah,
found something. Absolutely.
exactly. So, but it's not available in the U.S. yet. It's available in New Zealand, obviously.
Right.
So for us in the U.S., I know it's just a matter of they're rolling out certain things and they're getting the I guess the bugs worked out to where they can handle the massive amount of the United States,
Yes.
people that subscribe to Game Pass and people that will join Game Pass. Once this happens, they're getting ready for for the overwhelming demand they're going to have because it's going to be huge. Maybe that's something that they're going to announce, at their June event. When they're having their showcase there. Maybe that's something they dropped in. Hopefully, it's something they drop sooner. I think that they should drop it way sooner, like immediately,
Yeah, I think
or
it's a mistake to
maybe maybe they drop it right before Redfall because you can pay $70 for Redfall or you can get Game Pass. Even though they're quote unquote raise the price of their next gen only games, maybe they're trying to set themselves up to add even more value to people's perception that because it's their first $70 game, or you can have it in Game Pass and not have to pay anything more than just the $14.99 or the family plan for $25. I mean, they're just speculating. Obviously, it's just one of those things where there's a lot of possibilities. I think it's definitely going to be the way to go. I mean, when I add family plan for me, I'm going to be adding 4 more subscribers to Game Pass that's not available. It's not connected to it at all right now. So automatically
huge.
They're going to get 4
Huge.
more. And you times that times a lot of people that are going to be out there doing it. You never know. I'm hoping that it's sooner than later. We're chomping at the bit. Like you said, why didn't it happen already? I mean, I know there's reasons for it, but and I don't really think it has a lot to do with the whole FTC filing thing. I don't think it has to do with that. I think it has to do with some other logistics that they're trying to get worked out. To make sense because it is going to be a big deal when they do this.
Yes, I agree.
So once they so they probably want to maximize the effect by maybe announcing it at some event or some big game drop. But that's just my speculation. But I'm hoping that it happens sooner than later.
Well, E3, as we know, is almost 3 months away, 2.5, give or take. If you want to be really technical by dates, it's 2.5 months, right? And I think that's too long to wait, personally. I think we are at a point where it has launched at other regions of the world. America is one of Microsoft's or Xbox's biggest, group of consumers. I think personally that it would be a waste to wait. Now, maybe we're going to hear about it in the coming weeks in April for the launch of May 5th for Redfall. Hey, everyone, this new amazing game from Bethesda's coming out. And if you want to play with your friends and family, guess what? Friends and family plan. Here we go. I mean, that mean again, another marketing $1 million idea that poor Boomstick will not get credit for. I'm not looking for a job, folks. I'm happy being retired, but throw me in the credits somewhere, even if it's small.
Harry did say in the chat that Redfall comes out in 32 days, so that might be just a premier time.
There you go. Oh, by the way, I want to offer up an apology to the 500 people here. We had a knucklehead in the chat by the name of Hunter, who is now blocked. I don't understand why you got to come to a show and start bothering people. Like, is your life that sad? Like, honestly, dude, like, come hang out, have fun, have an opinion, but don't be an a-hole, man. If you're gonna come here to cause trouble, if the sheriff doesn't get you in Lethal Papa, one of the mods are gonna get you, and you're just gonna they have full authorization. You're banned. We don't like the words pony. You never heard me say that. I won't say it. I said it now for context. I don't like bots. And I find it to be derogatory. I know it's not, a racial slur because that's stupid, but there's no reason for that kind of talk. Come here, hang out, have fun, interact with your fellow gamers. And if you have a different opinion, that is cool, folks. It's okay to not agree with me, but you can do it in a way that's not insulting. So if you're going to be a D-bag, understand I'm not even going to waste my time. I'm not worried about your one sub or your one view. I'm not being messed up. I'm just saying that don't be a jerk and you'll hang out. Anyway, let me just get this back into gaming talk. Que Asante, this family plan is going to be monstrous. I think that it's going to be one of those plans that is going to change the industry for the better. Affordability is something that a lot of people could use right now. And when you are a parent and you're responsible for paying the electric bill and going to your local Walmart to do food shopping and paying the rent and things of that nature, and obviously, being there for your kids, the first thing to always go is entertainment, at least for yourself, because you got to put I would always put myself, my kids or my family before me. If I suffer, that's fine, as long as they don't. That's just how I am. And as a parent, you want to provide your kids with things that you didn't have. That's the whole point of you always want to be better. My dad taught me that. He says, whatever I didn't have, I'm going to make sure you have, Craig, because that's what makes me a good dad. That's how he was. And that I'm not a dad, but I'm a godfather, and I'm I have godchildren all over the place, as well as my nephew, who's like my son. I want the best for them. This plan during a financial time in this country is literally the perfect timing for this. I don't understand why they're dragging their heels with this. I mean, Dave brought up a great point. It could be logistics. It could be, they're trying to figure out to get everything working, and that makes sense. But they got to get this rolling, man. They got to get this out.
No, I don't disagree with you. And forgive me, by the way, if you hear a little noise. After some fighting and some cajoling, they're finally replacing my roof. So there's a lot of noise going on outside.
Excellent.
Needless to say. So to the point that was made that it might be very soon, it might be very, very soon. And what I mean by that is we didn't have any remnants of it existing in the U.S. And now if you check the DM, if you check the private chat real quick, you will get a link that I just put in there that takes you to the US version of the Xbox.com site that shows the Game Pass family plan. Now it says test, and you don't see any pricing or anything like that, but it now exists there, and that's very recent.
That's actually been up there for 2 months, Case, I think.
Oh, well, there you go. 2 months. It's been out. It's a recent occurrence.
Yep.
So, it's moving and shaking. Now, when will they add pricing to it? When will they really like blow it out and let people know exactly what to expect? That's what we're waiting on right now.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you on the idea of it, on the pricing and all of that. If it's $40, if it was $40, which we all now know it's not, that would have been a little bit too much. I think that's a little bit too much. I still think that $25 that they're talking about, that is the sweet spot, and I'd be happy to pay that. And I too would be then bringing a bunch of people in to Game Pass that wouldn't have Game Pass in the first place, right? Even in my own household, sometimes I want to play. I want to let my kids play, and I'm just like, I do not need you people ruining my gamer score or my library with your Peppa Pigs. So maybe you throw double access to a few other kids, and then they can play as well, and it gives you separation. It actually helps when playing multiplayer games, right? Games that technically aren't couch co-op, you can do that. Somebody's playing in the cloud, somebody's playing next to you, right? But each of them needs a separate Game Pass account, right? So that's kind of how we've been able to get away with playing non-couch co-op games in couch co-op. They're sitting next to me. I'm on my phone. They're on the PC. Or they're on the Series X, and that's how we're playing. But the only sticking point there was you have to have separate actual Game Pass accounts, which this will solve. So I'm excited to see it. I need Microsoft and Xbox to start giving good announcements. Like, where is the fabled upgrade to the capture system? Like, I'm still on that tip, right?
Yeah, I have. Yes, DVR upgrade, please.
Right?
Yes, please. Quickly.
And I don't need it. I don't need it to be dropped in an email or in a blog post. I want there to be a quality of life announcement, right? Where this is spoken about, because they spoke about this a while ago on stage. So
Yes.
it's time to get back on a stage and say, okay, yes, we've been waiting for a while. You've been patient with us. Here's this, here's that, here's this, here's that. Just like we were super excited when they announced Back Compat in the grandiose way they did, and it turned out to be awesome. These are all things beyond the gaming, because we're there for the gaming. Beyond the gaming, these are the things that should be known and should be pronounced, and everybody should know it. So I am hoping and praying that, you know, well, can't call it E3 anymore, the
right.
June time frame, when somebody will get on a stage somewhere or in front of a green screen somewhere, that this is one of those announcements that gets turned from a test into a proper actual offering, right? So I'm excited to see it. If it doesn't happen, if we're here in Q2 still talking about it, the pitchforks come out and nobody has anything to say about it.
Yeah.
You know? So it is what it is.
Exactly.
Sometimes they got to get called to the carpet, and what you will find in Double Barrel Gaming and the Gaming Circle podcast, and the Gamers Council, and Fuzzy's channel is that we are here to cheer Microsoft on, but when they mess up, we will call them to the carpet and do it, you know, and do it in a way that is, you know, finger pointy, sure, but it's not abusive, and it's not, you know, for ratings. We're not doing it because we want to get your click. We're doing it because something's
first. And an Xbox fan second, right?
Yeah.
And being a podcaster means I have a responsibility to call out something when it needs to be called out, because maybe so few of you out there rely on me to provide you that actual accurate information. So if I hear something or if I see something that's not right, I have a responsibility to be like, come on now. You know, this is a little ridiculous. So we shall see.
No, absolutely. Fuzz, let's get your quick hot take on this. We're going to get to the big topic of the show regarding, of course, where we're going to ask the question, will Call of Duty, which is now going to be Microsoft first party, fund first party development and Microsoft's next acquisition, kind of something similar to what Sony said Call of Duty profits were doing. I have that document from the CMA in front of me right now, which I'll read verbatim, but let's get your hot take. Fuzzy, you have a couple of growing boys that have different opinions and different tastes in gaming than good old dad. How important is the family plan for you?
It's really important. And as someone that, well, I pay their allowance and I have them pay for their own Game Pass at this point in time. Okay. But it would almost be like a raise to them if we go ahead and do the family plan, because then I'm covering the family plan, and then they could put their allowance to other things like Spotify or other games that they want to buy on their PC. And whatnot. But the great thing about the whole family plan is that in the grand scheme of things, it's going to ultimately save the household some money. Now, the $40 thing, if that was USD, that's a little bit past the threshold. Yes, I understand. $8 for about 5 people. That's great math and all, but for me, my like top out point is like right around 30, because it's roughly where I'm paying for 2 Game Pass Ultimate to cover. And from my standpoint, that's better than the deal I'm getting now for 15 for 1. But that's kind of like where my threshold is. But as far as the timing of it, I know that they've changed some things in the Microsoft rewards, and it looks like they're scaling some things back on that. So it leads me to believe that, because from what we hear, everyone within that family plan will be able to contribute to the main account's rewards. So that way, if you have 5 gamers earning Microsoft rewards through playing games or using Bing and so forth, you could pretty much cover that cost without much of a headache.
I did not know that, Fuzzy. I did not know that. Now I got to get my sweaty friends to be my Game Pass subscribers, because I need some
sweaty
of that,
friends indeed.
Yeah, get them sweaty gamers in here. That's amazing. I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
bringing the sweat.
That's going to be like the big thing. Where I look at it this way: if you buy 1 or 2 games a year and do like Bing searches, which now, because of the Chat GTP stuff, it's awesome in comparison to using Google search. So I answer a poll some questions.
I do Bing every day, brother.
Yeah.
Every day I'm doing Bing something or other. I really am.
And that would be more than enough to cover whatever the overall cost would be. But like the family plan, I'm hoping it's between April and June that they announce something. Like I figured June would be probably the prime time because of their showcase on the 12th and stuff. But like you guys said, in May would be an awesome time just before Redfall because hey, it's a co-op game, bring more people on, and what better way to show that Game Pass is now 60 million people as opposed to 30 million because of the family plans. Yeah, not everybody's paying a full price, but it's not necessarily about that, because with the money you're saving, a lot of times, and at least in my household, if we're saving money on one thing, we could put more towards other stuff or more towards other things within that same ecosystem. So we'd either be buying more games or buying more hardware or whatever type of deal. So I hope between April and June they make some sort of announcement. I think April, since they are making change to the Microsoft rewards, it's going to be a little bit different where you don't get the full 50 for achievements anymore, but you're going to get other daily stuff that you'll be able to equal that stuff out. So I foresee them, whenever they do a scale back on stuff like that, usually we get a bump or an upgrade on Game Pass or other things that Microsoft offers. So who knows? We could see something as early as next month, but fingers crossed between now and June.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I want to say something else real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Something which was a good point with Fuzzy talked about. But there was rumors of the advertisement version of a Game Pass, possibly
like
cheaper version. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So maybe in the next month or so they'll whenever they do drop this family plan in the U.S., they're going to have all the other like quote unquote restructuring parts to it.
Maybe,
maybe they drop it all at once. I know Phil had a comment on it a while back.
This is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists.
I need that interview. I need that Phil Spencer interview, damn it. Hey, listen, real quick. Let me just find out who said this. I want to give them the correct credit. Someone just dropped in the chat that there is a, hold on a sec. Let me find it. Thanaros just let us know that the Sarah Bond did an interview on Xbox On, and it just dropped. So I have to check out that, and I have to check out the Destin Legary interview with Hogue Law. So I got a lot to listen to. Listen, what I want to do is because we still have 40 minutes left of the show, folks, and we got to get to the big topic of the show. The big topic of the show is whether or not Microsoft is going to use Call of Duty as a workhorse, profits from Call of Duty as a workhorse to not only fund first-party development for Xbox Game Studios, but potentially their next acquisition. And I'm not saying they're going to buy Sega. No, I would want that because I'm a nerd. And, that's just, I love Sega. But I bring this up. Yes, it's a bit salty. Yes, it's a bit finger pointy, sure. But I bring it up because I want to read what Sony said to regulators. And while I'm reading it, I want to throw a poll out there. I don't know how to do the actual polls, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Who's a better driver, me or Fuzzy Belvedere? Because I think I'm doing a lot better than he was doing in Forza. I'm just saying, Fuzzy, I don't know.
What is in that cup of yours, man? I think them salty tears to get into your head. No,
maybe a little bit. I've been listen. I'm not a better driver than Fuzzy. I'm just doing this for fun. I'm a terrible driver, and everyone tells me about it. They're like, "Boom! How did you drive the police car?" Trust me, not like that. I'm telling you, I was very
right there. You shouldn't even step in the arena, my friend. Come on now.
I had one RMP accident in 21 years, and it's because a lady hit me. So there you go, folks. Putting the people's safety first. I was always very careful when I drove the RMP.
Fuzzy.
Anyway.
That is speaking right now. Fuzzy.
Yeah.
I love it. That's good stuff.
You're just asking for the smoke at that point.
Any smoke I get, I deserve at this point. So let me read what came out of the CMA's documents. This is Article 27, and I'm not going to read all the other articles because this really just pertains to what we're trying to discuss regarding funding, what Microsoft is going to use Call of Duty for, which they absolutely should. And they go on to say, and I'm going to read the whole thing. Some of which is relevant, some of which is just part of the conversation. And they say this, folks: Microsoft's foreclosure strategy would cause SIE to lose significant revenues, diminishing its ability to fund further investment. PlayStation users that play Call of Duty generate around redacted of total spending around redacted billion on hardware, peripherals, subscriptions, games, and other PlayStation services. The loss of all or a significant portion of these users, together with the associated revenues and profits, would severely diminish SIE's ability to incentivize or to invest in future hardware innovations and gaming technologies. Cornerstone Research and RBB Economics estimate that switching rates of redacted percent would lead to a redacted percent reduction in SIE's profits. And this is where it gets highlighted, folks. This would, in turn, also reduce the potential return on producing innovative first-party games, thereby diminishing SIE's ability to incentivize or invest in new games. I'm going to go first to Fuzzy on this. Fuzzy, obviously, I called BS when this was out. I call BS now because Sony is making money hand over fist. We know that as for a fact. They have reported the greatest February in PlayStation history. Think about that for a second. From PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 5, this past February in most regions for PlayStation was the highest selling amount of consoles in history. So they're not hurting for money. No. But I think there's something to be said about Microsoft, who already makes a lot of money, using something like Call of Duty, and some people put in the chat Candy Crush, and a few other of King's games that make money hand over fist, to actually fund potentially new Game Pass day and date titles, first party development on a studio that wants to do a quote unquote passion project like a Hi-Fi Rush, right? Or even a smaller studio. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm going to probably get a little messy here, but I got to do it.
You get as messy as you want, brother. Fling that poo.
After the whole deal, when they made mention that, Call of Duty is going to be what they use to fund their first party games, I kind of wonder, did they intentionally make The Last of Us Part 1 for PC that buggy because of that? I mean, to kind of show it's like, oh my God. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's funny to me that they made that mention that they're using this to fund their first party. Their first party should be funding their first party. God of War typically sells around 20 mil. Yeah, I understand some of it's bundled and whatnot, but it's usually a 20 mil seller. Spider-Man was a 30 million seller. The Horizon Zero Dawn was like an 10 or 11 million seller. A lot of their stuff is at least 10 million sellers as far as their bigger titles. So that should be going right back to those studios to, make the next iteration of those games. Anything that they make as far as extras from third party is more than likely going into new contracts for down the road so they could get marketing dollars or play keep away with Xbox. So I could see them using some of it towards first party, but it doesn't seem like that's where the money is going, or at least the evidence of what we're seeing, unless that money was going directly into these games as a service that we're yet to see. And now if those come out where you could tell that they're well polished and it looks like $1 trillion budget on it or something, then, maybe the Call of Duty money was, filtering over to that. But overall, I hope, given that Microsoft is now going to be the owner of Call of Duty, and that's going to be a first party, sure, it'll be multi-platform just like Minecraft is, put that back into the system, put that back into the studios, put that back into Activision as a whole to make sure whatever team they designate as the Call of Duty, holders as far as the main studio for that platform, let the other ones, like Kay Asante always says, like, let them out of the salt mines kind of thing. Let Raven Studios and Toys for Bob and all the other ones do something different. So that way that money from Call of Duty helps filter into new IPs from the other studios. But as far as Sony, hurting after, Call of Duty, they're still going to be making 30% on the sales of it. It's just that they may not get the full, was it wholesale price benefits or other skin benefits, which would draw more people over to their platform type of thing. But they're still going to be making money off of Call of Duty no matter what. They're still going to be making money off of other third-party games, much like the ones that they play keep away with like Final Fantasy and stuff like that. So Sony hopefully will learn from this and, double down on their first party, funding first party, and, third party maybe funding just the contract stuff, or, maybe stuff that they could use, like, I don't know, stuff for the store as far as the organization for the store. So you don't have as much of the shovelware on one end of it and a little bit better curation. So the indie developers get a little bit better spotlighting, or have like an indie developer section where it's not just the shovelware that's highlighted. It's the actual games that people were looking for, like your Hades, like your I can't think of another smaller one, like Stray and things like that. So, but yeah, it's, more power to Microsoft at this point now. They paid the big bucks or they're paying the big bucks for the Activision and Blizzard studios. Hey, they deserve all the funding that they could put towards all the first party and whatever else they choose to, or pay shareholders even. I don't care either way, as long as we get games out of the deal, I'm happy.
Nah, good stuff, brother. Let's get Kay Asante's quick hot take on this. I mean, listen, obviously it's an interesting conversation. We're not money men, right? I saved that for Dave, who was going to be last to talk about this, but it's something to be said that, you invest $70 billion into Call of Duty. You obviously, most people think it's for Call of Duty. I don't think it's just for Call of Duty. I think it's for King. Personally, it's always been King. Microsoft did a great job on letting everyone focus on, laser focus on, hey, Call of Duty has got to be Call of Duty. Good for you. You know what I'm saying? If that's all you think. I think that it's what they're going to do. And Phil Spencer talked about it last month about how they're going to be launching in 2024 their own mobile arm of Xbox, which, again, I called from member folks, please give me the credit where credit is due. Xbox Game Pass for mobile, $4.99 a month. It's happening. Trust me when I tell you. It's another $1 million idea that I've given Microsoft that I will get nothing for. Head down in shame. But it's okay. Talk about it, Kay Asante. Are they potentially going to pull a Sony and use the development dollars or the sale dollars from Call of Duty for potential acquisitions of smaller studios, potentially, passion projects for XGS?
I mean, like, it makes business sense, doesn't it? Even though parent company Microsoft has more money to do to go as far as they need to, you don't want to keep throwing good money after bad, as they say. You don't want to keep, putting making it a money pit, if you will. They're not getting much back. They're still digging more into it. That is part of the business, right? Even at the smallest, most tiniest scale, right? Myself and Mr. Everborn Saga have a show. We've done pretty well. People are liking it. They give us super chats. We then reinvest it into the show and start making the show look better.
Indeed, that's a great analogy, brother. Thank you. That's excellent. Yes,
that's what it's about. You don't want to just keep throwing money that you earn elsewhere into this business and expect it to continue to thrive. So Microsoft is starting after this deal closes, you'll see them getting King money, which is, oh boy, right? You'll see them getting Call of Duty money. You'll see Call of Duty itself pulling folks into their ecosystem, which is what they wanted. You'll see all the money that's coming from all the other platforms, which is also what they wanted. So obviously, I can see a world where they can fund more. I suspect that they are smart enough, and Amy Hood is known, and she's the purse strings at Microsoft. She is known to be one of the best in the industry, right? I can see them making sure that pot is kept separate to reinvest back into the brand that's producing it. Right now, there is an idea that since Bethesda has been a separate entity, adjacent to the Microsoft, the Xbox organization, that so too will Activision be adjacent and won't be lumped under the Xbox umbrella. But still, at the end of the day, it's gaming revenue coming, and it'll all be categorized as gaming revenue. So it makes perfect sense that you take it, you use the money that you acquire from these deals to then reinvest into the brand and reinvest into games and all that. And especially the fact that they are creating the Netflix of games, if you will. There will be many games that won't reach every audience, and they're more than okay with that. I think I read a Chris Charla interview, like I think it was 2-3 days ago. And if you're not sure, Chris Charla is the head of ID at Xbox, they've been bringing out lots of very
gentleman cool gamer, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, really, really cool dude, skater. He's a very interesting cat, and he's basically talking about how they're more than fine with the fact that your game will reach 3,000 or 300,000 or 3 million followers. And all that is allowed within the Game Pass model. So in order for that to continue, they need to be able to have a pot of money. Not everything has to be AAA. And so far, we've seen them do that, right? Not everything is AAA. They allow for big games to sit right next to little games, and even including the fact that they're also now taking some of the funds that they make to go and pull in developers from elsewhere that aren't necessarily part of Microsoft proper or part of the first party, but they're enticing them with funding to be able to put games on Game Pass and all of this stuff. All of that helps the brand grow, right? So, it's a disingenuous way that Sony has been placing we need it because it funds our games, right? As Fuzzy has said, you guys are supposed to be the tip of the spear. You're supposed to be greatness, right? But you can't use your greatness games to fund more greatness games. That means there's a disconnect somewhere, right? But
just a second there, Keasante. Jim Ryan said to his fans
that it wasn't enough. Yeah,
you're not enough.
That's right. But if you dig into the details of it, it is actually how it should work, right? They shouldn't be taking like Sony movie funds and putting it into games.
I agree.
That's telling you your business is failing. That business should be able to stand on its own. And if it's not standing on its own, well, you should give it some time frame, right? And after a while, if it's not standing on its own, that means you have a bad business plan, right? So this is Microsoft, taking funds from elsewhere, lumping it into the gaming industry, and then seeing if it can churn and continue on its own. And I think that's an excellent idea, right? Absolutely excellent. And at the end of the day, what does that mean for us gamers? It just means a lot more AAA, AA, weird offshoot games. A lot more stories of them reaching out to developers that you've never heard of, because now they have the funds, and it doesn't eat into the bottom line. It's literally coming from games to games. Perfect. I think it's a great plan.
You know what? Let me get to a few other member chat statements. Tim the Sorcerer, who actually just dropped a super chat about it. Tim, I didn't forget about you, brother. Thank you for the $2 super chat. You're always awesome. He says he's been a member for 8 months, which is dope, and I really appreciate that, Tim. He says, "Hey, Boom, great show. E3 canceled downer, but Vampire Survivors beating out Elden Ring and Ragnarok at the BAFTAs highlights the week." Let me tell you something.
Oh boy, yes, sir.
We are going to talk about that on Monday, because new DLC is coming, and that man only has great things to say about how he was treated by Chris Charla and the team over at ID at Xbox, as well as the raging success that he has seen for Vampire Survivors. One of my favorite. I mean, it literally just by a pinch lost to Elden Ring for my game of the year, and it's getting new DLC. Shout out to the one-man made game. I mean, my God, what an achievement. But Dave, before we get on out of here,
let's get that last super chat there. Let's get that last super chat.
You got a couple super chats right there.
Okay, let me just do that. Dreadful Sean, who's been a channel member for 2 months, also says, I'm expecting it to drop sometime before E3's showcase or during that stream. He's talking about the family plan. We also have 2 super chats, one from Tim the Sorcerer, who politely tells me, don't forget about my member chat, and I wouldn't. Sean, thank you for the $2 super chat. And Carl Andrews Jr. Carl, how you feeling, brother? Happy Friday. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Asante canceled his PlayStation VR 2.0 order, and so did everyone else. Yes, I didn't even order it. I F Sony.
I'm sorry.
I'm not doing it.
Well, I'll tell you, it's because I saw that the day before it was scheduled to release, I could still pre-order and it would show up day one. That told me something. I was like, deals incoming. I'm gonna wait. So there we go.
Only 270,000 units with 32 million PlayStation 5s in the wild. Not a good ratio, folks.
Now, mark my words. The deal will come. They'll sell a lot more. And because it's encrypted now, you're going to hear them talk about, and we're allowing it to be on PC.
Of course. Yeah, that's coming.
Clip it. I'm saying that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Listen, Web Dave, let's get your final thoughts on this topic. And I want to bring it to the conversation because you're our money man. Just for, obviously I'm all about stats. I'm all about bringing the evidence to the conversation. So you can't call me a fraud. I pulled up some stats, Dave, for King as a whole, as a company, not just Candy Crush. Talking about funding Xbox, potentially funding, third-party marketing games into Game Pass day and date. And I pulled stats from Statista.com. And I went back all the way to 2019 just to show the growth of King. In 2019, folks, they made $2 billion. In 2020, they made $2.1 billion. In 2021, they made almost $2.6 billion. And in 2022, last year, King grossed nearly $2.8 billion from a mobile company. Mm-hmm. This is why Microsoft wanted this deal to go through. We did mention Call of Duty funding, potentially risque or passion projects from smaller teams in Xbox. I can see it actually funding acquisitions. I can also see it funding games coming into Game Pass. You know what I'm saying? I know they have a lot of money already stashed to the side, but, you can't you can't rob Peter to pay Paul. And the kind of money they're going to get from Call of Duty specifically is enough to do a lot of these things. What are your thoughts, Mr. Moneyman?
Well, all good points. The first thing I would say is that they have allocated a certain amount of money with cash on hand, which is
yes, they have. That's correct.
Which is enormous. And after this deal is done, the ABK deal, they're still going to have $90 billion of cash on hand
with a B. Yes,
with a B. Yeah, that's taxable. So, and corporate tax is a lot more expensive than taxes that we're used to paying. So they definitely want to, and that all that money has been set aside for that. What you call, I guess, injected into the gaming division of Microsoft. And I think it's a smart move that Satya made to do that. And they are definitely going to be buying more property, going to be buying more. Phil said himself, that they want to, to make a foothold into the Asian market. And I believe that is going to be coming. We may not happen first. I know you have really called for it. And I think you're right that there's a lot of the companies that Microsoft works with now that they really need to purchase, which is just standalone game studios, and ones that work on
IO Interactive jumps off the page for me personally. Yeah,
exactly. So there's a bunch of them that they should try and purchase or bring into the family. Bring them into the family. Yeah, that's it. So I love it, Kazandi. Oh man, but that's definitely something that needs to be done. And as soon as this other deal's done, that's probably the first thing they need to jump on. But there will be more acquisitions of actual, the studios that make games. I mean, that actually produce their own publishers that are their own game. That's gonna happen. And it may not be the ones we all want, but there's gonna be a few more purchases made. They're not gonna stop just because this was a tough deal to get through. If anything, they've laid the groundwork after this deal is done, because their next purchase probably will not be this much. I don't think there's probably going to be another.
No,
purchase
I don't think
quite
so
a
either.
while.
I agree there.
But they could pick up a Sega or Square at a probably
Could you
under
imagine Square,
under the 10 billion mark.
the salty tears that would flow if that happened?
It would
Holy
overflow
cow.
on the cup, sir. It would overflow.
Yes,
Oh
it
boy,
would be pretty
But it
ridiculous.
is a possibility. It is truly a possibility that it can happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying.
No, you know what? Honestly, let me. I don't want Square because they're a bunch of racist pricks. So yeah, we don't want them being part of the family. Just saying.
Well, there are a few members of their staff that have made comments that are racist. You're correct.
Yes,
not everybody there.
No, not the whole company, but they are led by people that have put their foot in their mouth more times than not, and I don't like it. And so no, stay away from Square. But continue.
Thank you for saying so. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
continue. Yes.
But Sega. I know your buddy would love for that to happen.
Sonic and Crash.
Don't say that too many times. Come on, don't say that too many times. He's just going to.
He's going to show up in the chat. I know he is.
It's like Candyman.
Like Candyman.
Right? Oh Lord, that's too funny. But the point is that they'll have that ability to do that. Now the revenue that they're gonna make once this purchase is made, obviously Sony crying foul that we're going to be me's and we need this and sad for us, and if it's going to be so hard on the number one leader of video game industry to take the hit, and we'll still be number one after the deal's done. Hello, wake up. So we know that's but Microsoft, what will they do with that? Their profits. They'll definitely put some of that money back into it. I'm sure they're going to allocate it to they're obviously Microsoft's very smart with their money, so they're not necessarily going to fund all this and fund all that. They've got means for that already. That's actually budgeted into their and God forbid that they even make more profits. Their shareholders would love for them to make more profits. But one thing it does do, once this acquisition is done, there will be probably a percentage of it that goes toward the payback. In other words, even though you have spent this money, you can't just be, I spent this money and, we're only making a little bit here. The money they actually spent, they want to have that back in their coffers at some point in the future. So when that happens, all companies do this. They have a certain set of money that goes back into their, back into development, back into research, back into advertising, back into, we'd all like them to increase their advertising budget. And I believe, that they will do that. But Bethesda, since they made that acquisition, their marketing is definitely improved, and I guarantee you that it's going to continue to improve in the future. And once this deal is done, once it's all behind them, they will be able to to continue to grow the brand. If Phil wants to get to that. How many subscribers?
Well, he said originally 3 billion gamers with a B.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there are lots of ways for them to do that. They have a roadmap, probably a 20-year roadmap, but at least a 10-year roadmap of how they can achieve that goal. And they're going to do step by step as they meet these marks. They're going to continue to do, and mobile is going to be a big part of it. Like you said, if they had a $5 plan, because there's some people out there that but then again, if you get the ultimate or the family plan, and that is included in it, which it should be, holy snikes. My wife would be extremely happy for one thing, because she plays nothing but mobile games.
Would be, listen, it's like I said, folks, I joke around and say it's a $1 million idea or ideology. And I listen, I'm just a podcaster. I don't have a business degree. So what the heck do I know?
It's a good idea.
If I'm sitting in on the board, and I'm looking at mobile, and I just read you the numbers, folks. For the last 5 years, the numbers for King have gone through the roof. You offer up not $5, $4.99 a month gets you these X perks for some of the King's more popular games, Candy Crush being one of them. You're going to get people drop money into Candy Crush like it's for free. And if you were to offer a mobile arm of Game Pass in Ultimate, or separately for its own $5 or $4.99, because that 1 penny makes a difference for people's eyes, it would be ridiculous. It would just make so much money. People would join in a second, and you can get games in there day and date. That do have the pay to play kind of a thing. I don't know. I can't put the schematics down to paper because, well, I don't design things like that. But I just think, Dave, it would make a lot of money, and it makes a lot of sense.
So, just to wrap this up, a couple people in the chat were like, why would they buy Sega? Shouldn't they buy Namco? Bandai Namco.
Bandai Namco's a good one, but I don't know if they're
standalone right now. They don't need the money. Capcom would be a great purchase. They don't need the money.
They don't need it.
They don't need to be bought. Warner Brothers is definitely a good idea, and I think it would be great. We'd love to have that Killer Instinct / Mortal Kombat game come out. That would definitely be a great game. Definitely, great to have that under the belt. And of course, all the, the quote unquote superhero type franchises stuff you can get with Warner Brothers. But the only problem that Microsoft would have is that they would need, if it was like, okay, well, you got the gaming division. Well, they would need to acquire permanent rights to all gaming for the Marvel properties. In other words, they need Batman. Go ahead.
With the exception of DC, which you're absolutely right on, if they were to get NetherRealm, I have it on almost 100% authority that NetherRealm, wherever they go,
no, they get the license. That's a confirmed fact. What you're talking about is with Ed Boon, you get it. Wherever NetherRealm goes, Mortal Kombat follows. That's in the contract.
So at least that would be solidified. But you're absolutely right on all the other contracts. DC, they have to get a lot of rights there.
If they wanted Warner Brothers, which would be a great get, they would also want at least the DC rights to gaming.
Yeah,
exclusive 100%. To them.
Yeah, that has to be a part of the contract.
And in like not just like a 10-year deal, they'd want it permanently. Kind of like Sony has with Marvel's Spider-Man. They would want that kind of deal with that particular property, and then narrow it down to not movies, not anything else,
just games,
just the gaming. If they could get that, that would be a great purchase for Microsoft. Yeah, and who knows if they're they may be working on that, but it doesn't make sense to just let's get this, but then not have the rights to half the property.
That's dumb. That would be dumb. Ridiculous. Yeah, it wouldn't make no sense. I agree.
So, absolutely.
That's all I got to say.
Listen, great stuff from everybody, ladies and gentlemen. We had over 500 people here, and we went up against Destin, which I did not know he was doing his show the same time as Breakfast with Boom, but we still had over 500 people here, and that is pretty damn amazing. I can't thank you enough for tuning in and enjoying the content. Hopefully you did, in fact, enjoy the content enough to hit the like button. If you are new to the channel and you enjoyed the conversation, please consider subscribing. Let's get to the outros. We'll start first with Kay Asante, who has a big show tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the new episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. Talk about it, brother. Sell your brand.
So I'm actually going to be all over the old podcasting streets this weekend.
Here, there,
everywhere this weekend. Here, there, and everywhere. I just jumped in here. It's going to be fun. In an hour or 2 or 3, I think in 3 hours at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, I will be sitting down with Ham Solo and Loke 7. Nice. I love their show. I always listen because they're as slanderous as myself and Everborn, and their show is called Bull Sitting. That's right. Bull sitting. I love it. I'll be on the show there. We'll be having interesting conversations. Obviously, the Gaming Circle podcast will be Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then later at 6 p.m. on Saturday, I will be joining 108 Dragons TV and having more Slanders talk. Dude. So it's going to be a Slanders weekend for me. But no, it's so much fun having chats, talking about gaming, not just ABK. I know. Mr. Don't say his name, otherwise he'll appear. Likes to drink deep of the ABK documents. We're getting to a point where there's so much games coming out, so much to talk about. So it's really awesome to be able to have all these great conversations with all these great content creators and folks from the community. So follow me. I'll follow you back. TKO Asante on Xbox, PlayStation, Twitter, all the places you can find me, and come check us out. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., myself and we call ourselves the dynamic duo of gaming.
I love it.
We'll be here with the PG-13 slander for you. We should have a very fun show tomorrow since we missed last week, so there's a lot to catch up on. But thank you guys so much. It's always great to be able to jump in here and have great chats with Fuzzy, Web Dave, and the hardest working man in podcast. I really need to see that wavy wig. You got to do it. Come on, man. You got to do it.
If I could dance like James Brown, I'd be making money elsewhere. Let me tell you something. Honestly, that's a very high praise comment. Thank you for that. Great. So pleased and honored to have you here today. Jump on with us to give us your hot takes and stuff. Definitely appreciate it. And definitely go check out the Gaming Circle podcast, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday morning with the slanderous one known as Mr. Sega or Mr. Sonic himself, Everborn Saga. There you go. Web Dave, sell your brand, brother. You got a show coming up this Sunday with Retri from Game Pass _Daily. It is the Gamers Council podcast. You have Fuzzy Belvedere joining you. Talk about it, brother. Sell your brand.
Thank you so much, Boom, for having me on today. Great chat. Kay Santi, thank you so much for joining us today. Always love your takes on things, man, and it's great to have you here with your wisdom, and I mean that. Thank you, sir. But yes, we have a show coming up on Sunday. It is 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. It is a live show. This is going to be with Fuzzy Belvedere, the one and only, the racing god that he is, and he knows his cars, folks. I'm telling you that right now. And it's great to have him on to talk about the new expansion drop. Plus, whatever else comes up, we'll definitely be doing that. And this is going to be the first episode that we are actually we've tied in, and you'll get the link in the show if you check it out. You can actually leave us up to a 90-second voice message, comment. Nice. And that we will actually incorporate that in the show throughout the show. So you can do those and see basically, instead of just dropping a chat, you can actually talk to us that way. Obviously keep it nice. No slander. But so that's going to be real excited. And I also have an interview dropping on Monday. That'll drop Monday morning, and that is Luke Steele.
Oh, that's a good one. We love Luke.
Yeah, we get in heavy with the ABK acquisition, his thoughts and what this latest stuff means. And he's a very, very smart lawyer, and he makes it very simple for everybody to understand too. So blessed to have him on that day. Plus, of course, we'll be back on Monday here with Boom. And man, love it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate you being here. Monday, don't forget, we're going to be doing the new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. And we're going to start this bad boy all up again, 5 days a week, 5 different panels, all great content. And someone that is a part of 2 of those panels each and every week on bookends, Mondays and Fridays. Fuzzy Belvedere, the best racer in there. There's no doubt about it. He drives better than I do. But Fuzzy, thanks so much for the footage today. You definitely saved the day. I didn't have a chance to record it, which I'm going to do later on today. Talk about where people could tune in, subscribe, and strike up a conversation on social media with one of the most knowledgeable community members when it comes to the racing genre. Talk about it.
Oh, just want to thank you for having me on today. It was awesome being on here with you guys, and always great having Kay Asante on here as well. But man, this was just awesome topics and just awesome people in the chat interacting with us and everything. Thank you so much for joining us. For those that want to hear my rambles or hot takes on anything gaming related, in particular racing stuff, just follow me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Xbox Ultimate Podcast on Fun Speculations channel later on tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow on the Shop Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. On Sunday with Web Dave and Retri on Gamers Council at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. And then right back here for Xbox Lunch Break Special at 12 noon on Monday. Look forward to seeing you guys there.
Thank you so much, brother. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, a big shout out to all the 500 plus people we had here today. Like I said, we went up against Destin, and that's pretty hard to do because Destin is, the guy's rocketed to 100,000 subs. Well deserved. He works super hard in his videos. So to do that is pretty impressive. And I can't thank you enough for choosing Double Barrel Gaming. Also, I want to thank everyone, including DDS219 in the chat. That's my good brother. We know Mrs. Boom, and I know him for, 2 decades. Love him. He is definitely a brother. So thank you for being here as always. Thank you to all the super chats that come in. We again, if you've noticed, we've done significant art changes to the channel to make everything cohesive. That is thanks to Sean Labrie. Also, of course, shout out to not only Sean Labrie, but Ben Kenobi on Twitter, as well as the Richter, who helped Mrs. Boom and I put all of the merch that you see on the Teespring website together. And we couldn't have done it without these super chats and without the channel memberships, because they do help fund advancements in the channel. And of course, I'm going to close out the show and wish everyone a happy weekend with something that I always do, folks. It's something that my dad taught us. It's very simplistic in nature, but it does drive the point home of being a good person. And my dad always would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.